What is up, winning team? Hello and welcome back to another installment of our current David versus Saul series, where we're looking at everything that happens between Saul becoming king to David being king, looking at the fear of man versus the fear of God. We're looking at the fool versus the wise, the loser versus the winner, the proud versus the humble. That's what this is all about. And if you need to know more, please go check out the playlist in the description box. I have an introduction video. You can catch up with everything going down over here at the minute. But if you've already caught up and you know what we're doing, let's continue. So in 1 Samuel 29 now, we finished on 28, where Saul was completely off the rails now. Bro had gone to the Lord. The Lord just decided to not even answer him. Like, brother, I'm not answering you. Sir, I am not answering you. I've tried with you. You decided. And God knows better. I honestly feel like God knew, because God can see what's going on the inside of us. So I believe that part of the reason God just didn't even answer Saul is he knew what Saul was capable of. Because, of course, Saul, as soon as God... Holy Spirit, did I invite you? Please be with us. As soon as Saul... didn't get what he wanted from God, he immediately ran to the demonic kingdom. He immediately ran to the mediums and the necromancers. He immediately ran to the witches and the warlocks. He immediately ran to the kingdom of Satan. So I feel like God saw that inside of Saul and was just like, look, why am I here trying to help you when I already know in your heart that you're prepared to cheat on me in just a second? That's why God calls us adulterous, right? And so all of that happened. He was feeling sorry for himself. The flipping lady who had to all conjure up Samuel from the dead is the one who ended up feeding him. And Samuel also went out of his way to just let Saul know that, by the way, why have you tried to pull me out of this? Second of all, by the way, you and your sons, yeah, you guys on your way, I'm going to see you tomorrow. From the other side, he was like, see you tomorrow. So that's crazy. So now we're in 1 Samuel 29. So let's read. I was supposed to continue this tomorrow, but I really wanted to see what's going to happen. Like, I feel like I'm watching a TV program, and it's like, you know, when you watch a TV program, you really want to get to the next episode. Like, that's how I felt. So I was like, even though technically I would have recorded this tomorrow, I wanted to see it now. Now the Philistines had gathered all their forces at Aphek, and the Israelites were encamped by the spring that is Jezreel. As the lords of the Philistines were passing by on the hundreds and by the thousands, and David and his men were passing on in the rear with Achish, the commanders of the Philistines said, "What are these Hebrews doing here?" And Achish said to the commanders of the Philistines, "Is this not David, the servant of Saul, king of Israel, who has been with me now for days and years? And since he deserted to me, I have found no fault in him to this day." But the commanders of the Philistines were angry with him. And the commanders of the Philistines said to him, "Send that man back, that he may return to the place to which you have assigned him. He shall not go down with us to battle, lest in battle he become an adversary to us. For how could this fellow reconcile himself to his Lord? Would it not be with the heads of the men here? Is not this David of whom they sing to one another in dances? Saul has struck down his thousands and David his 10,000s. I can't. Even the Philistines have heard the songs. No wonder Saul is so... No wonder Saul's ego is so bruised. Even the Philistines have heard this songs. Guys, I gotta go with this story. Oh, this explains why Saul is so all up in his little feelings. Because even the freaking Philistines, I've even written here, even the Philistines have heard about this lol. And I'm worried that this is what I wrote here. It's so old written that it's like blurry. I can't even cope. That is hilarious. Even the Philistines have heard about this. And in my mind, I was envisioning it, like when I was envisioning it happening, because I told you I always visualize the Bible. That's what I think you should always do. Visualize what you're being stood, because there's so much wisdom in just imagery, hence why God uses a lot of imageries. Anyway, and the way I was envisioning it like the men coming back from war, and then like, you know, or being, you know, around the, like maybe in Israel, like, you know, wherever they are near maybe the castle or whatever, and the women singing like that. I didn't know that maybe the songs, damn. Anyway, this is verse 6. Then Achish called David and said to him, as the Lord lives, you have been honest. So Achish, I wasn't sure about this. So now I think I understand, if I'm not mistaken. Lord help me. Achish must then therefore be one of the Philistines, I guess. Or whatever, because, yeah, I guess. Yeah, because David went to chill with the Philistines. Yeah, it is. Because remember, it says before that David went to chill with the Philistines, and I talked about that in this whole series, and I was saying about how it's nuts that David had to go and then, like, literally chill with the Philistines. Crazy work. As the Lord lives, you have been honest, and honest to me. It seems right that you should march out in with me in the campaign, for I have found nothing wrong in you from the day of your coming to me this day. Nevertheless, the Lord do not approve of you. This is verse 7 now. So I think Achish, I think this is another case of, I think David was a very smart man in the sense of he knew that in certain scenarios, he knew what his part to play was, and he knew that there was going to be the God's part to play in it. I.e., he's been living with Achish, and the right thing to do is to support Achish, and this is the person who's been protecting him. But obviously he is a child of the Lord. And I believe this is one of those moments where you just have to have faith and trust. I have had those moments where you're in a situation, you haven't yet done whatever and this is where, again, like I said, you have to really learn to trust the Lord. Where he hasn't gone into battle against Israel, but right now his only option, unless he's going to turn on the person he's with, is to then go on a battle against Israel. So I think David shows a lot of patience in just kind of letting things happen as they do, which obviously the Philistines, when seeing David, were like, yeah, this can't happen, obviously. And so, yeah, sometimes we overthink stuff that's happening in front of us. And sometimes all we need to do is just keep quiet and just give it time and just let the Lord do whatever he's doing, because we're busy worrying about the outcome of something. We're thinking about 10 steps down the line, which is what we do as humans. We're always thinking so far ahead. And God's like, just think about right now. Right now, David was with Achish, and Achish was looking after him. The right thing to do would be to defend Achish, and that's what he agreed to do. And then, lo and behold, the Philistines, who had heard the songs of the women, were like, we can't let that happen, because obviously, how could he fight against his own people? Achish is like, look, I see nothing wrong with you, but I'm gonna have to let you go. And David in his head is probably thinking, and Lord, this is why I trust you, because you always got my back. So verse 7, so go back now and go peacefully, that you may not displease the lords of the Philistines. And David said to Achish, but what have I done? What have you found in your servant from the day I entered your service until now, that I may not go and fight against the enemies of the Lord of my lord the king? And Achish answered David and said, I know you are blameless in my sight as an angel of God. Nevertheless, the commanders of the Philistines have said, he shall not go up with us to battle. Now then, rise early in the morning with the servants of your Lord who came with you, and start early in the morning, and depart as soon as you have light. So David set out with his men early in the morning to return to the land of the Philistines, but the Philistines went up to Jezreel. So David has decided to, they've sent him back, and David was prepared to go and fight, because what else is David supposed to do? The only safe place he's got right now is with his enemies. Think about how sad that is. Think about how sad that with everything that's happened because of Saul, and how Saul is all acting out in his feelings, that David has found himself in a position where the best thing that he can do is to go and chill with the ops, and to go and even fight with the ops against his own people. Like this is all a result of the mess of Saul. This is the only reason any of this is happening, because if Saul wasn't doing what Saul was doing, David could be fighting on Saul's side. David and Jonathan, who've got more bollocks than Saul does, could step up, and maybe instead the people of Israel would have won against the Philistines, or be winning against the Philistines, which we know they're going to lose, because God told Saul through Samuel, who said, the Lord is going to deliver you into the hand of the Philistines. So we know that they're going to take the L. Yeah. This is why I'm saying I have no problem calling Saul a loser, because he's a loser. He's a loser. He's lost. He's going to lose. He's lost. Loser. If I could stand up and do that funny dance that the sidemen do. But anyway, loser. That's what I'm saying, guys. When I use these words, I'm not being hard and harsh. It's just, it is what it is. Sorry if the truth is hard for you to hear. We haven't all got it in us. Not all of us are as strong as the rest as each other. I get it. Not all of us can handle. So David set out his men early in the morning. Where were we? No, that's not where we are. Oh yeah. Now, so verse 10. Now then rise early in the morning with the servants of your Lord who came up with you. Oh yeah, I finished it. So that's the end of chapter 29. That was it. Beautiful. Okay. So we'll leave it there. We don't need to do too much. We don't need to do too much more, but you guys get the gist. A lot to be said there. And isn't it sad that David found himself in that position, basically, is the long and short of it after all of that. But yeah, I think the takeaway from this was that, yeah, it's, and you see the thing with Saul, again, you know, being king, he could always, and this is the thing about being a winner versus loser, but whatever. If you're truly have humility within yourself and your own sense of, I don't want to say pride is the wrong word, intrinsic validation, right? So like Saul is king. It's not a big deal for if it happens that you have a warrior in your kingdom that is greater than you, then so what? People acknowledge you as the king. People acknowledge him as the greatest warrior that they have. If anything, it's more beneficial because then it means you've got an even stronger team now. And this is again where Saul doesn't understand the concept of teamwork. Because in my mind, I'd be thinking, as a king, you have so many responsibilities, so many things, so many expectations of you. People are expecting you to be the one at war, but people also probably expecting you to run the kingdom. They're expecting you to sort out your issues. They're expecting you to do all this stuff. If I was Saul, I'd be thinking, great. So now if David is the one who can be entrusted, I'll put him as like at the head of the war, like the leader of all of the army and of the war and whatnot, and what have you. That's one thing off of his plate. They can work as a team. And anybody who knows how to build a strong team, the best way to build a strong team, not to mention One Piece again, which I'm actually wearing my One Piece t-shirt right now. Big up One Piece. Like to where you know, you have, rather than having a team, the best type of team is a team made where everybody is insanely good at what they do. That's the best kind of team. That's the best kind of team you have. I was watching this show on Netflix. I can't remember the name of it, but like it's the one where they basically did an experiment where people would get together in singing groups, but they would never meet. They wouldn't meet. They'd only hear each other sing and then talk to each other in the pods, just like how they do on Love is Blind. It was a really good show on Netflix, and I can't lie, it was really interesting to see. And there's one group who came together and they're all like powerhouse singers together, and listening to them all sing as the four of them, as each person who in any other context, probably others would say, oh, you should be a soloist. You don't need to be in a group. Your voice is big enough to be solo. All four of them are big enough to be solo, but then them singing together is like a level of insanity you don't hear really from like average, but from most groups, because most groups they're built up from having maybe a lead vocalist or like vocalists who have good but not great. So we put the good but not great people together so that we can create something great. But this is what I'm saying. The best teams, the best outcome is always when you have the most insanely highly qualified people in their own rights come together and work together. That's the type of team I want to build, by the way, guys. That's what I'm saying to you guys. Whatever it is that you in your life and the winning team, where you need to find whatever the Lord has placed in you, and you need to become the absolute like best at that thing. Because then when we come together as a team, we will be the most insane team, you know. And that's what I feel like Saul didn't understand about this concept, is that, dude, you're running a kingdom, you have so many responsibilities. You literally having David as this war person who people know about is amazing. It's amazing. The same way that, you know, the Philistines having Goliath. We don't know the name of the king of the Philistines. I don't know. Is it Amalek? Maybe it is Amalek, I guess. Right? But the point is, they had Goliath and they were happy to put forth Goliath. They were happy to, do you see what I'm saying? Even that king was happy enough. He had more humility. The king of the Philistines had more humility than the king of Israel, because he was willing to put forward his, Goliath to be the one to be the decider of the war, and him step back. You know, I mean, obviously Saul had to let the men fight, and Saul was always quaking in his boots, scared. But you get the idea of what I'm saying. Like, it was such an opportunity. The relationship that Saul and David could have had, it was such a missed opportunity. And because he got so caught up in his pride and his jealousy and his lacking in fear of God, his lack of relationship with God, all those things are the things that worked against him. The pride, the jealousy, the lack of fear of God, and the lack of relationship with God. And that's what cost him. And so, yeah, it's just a missed opportunity. And now it's just embarrassing. Now I'm here laughing because it is funny now. Now it is funny. Anyways, guys, I'm going to leave that there because I've been talking enough about this whole thing. And yeah, so I hope you guys, if you're enjoying this, like I said, the whole playlist, my whole 1 Samuel playlist is all linked in the description box with all the videos, the intro, everything else before. We're on a journey all the way from Saul to David becoming king. That's where that's where I plan to end off. Although, will we? Maybe this series is going to go on for the rest of the year and we'll go all the way to Solomon. Who knows? But the big thing here is the message of humility. Anyways, you guys, I'll thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to subscribe if you are enjoying this. If life's a game, let's play to win. God bless you all. God loves you. I love you, and I'll see you in my next one.